Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Factorio. In the last one, the plan was to get a lot done. Kind of felt like we got caught up with a few things here and there, and so I have built a couple of really awesome things right here. Let's go and take a look at them. Now, I spent a lot of time looking at all the items in the game, thinking about what ones we were going to need, and I decided to build this little area right here. This is our collection point for all the important things that we're going to need in this game. And it's really cool because a lot of them just use copper and steel, and a lot of the other ones just use iron. So there are things that we had in the old base as well, actually, and things that I craft by hand. And now we've got them all in this area. Now, our system may not, provide enough stuff quick enough for all of these things to be crafted, but here is a place where the materials can back up into and then get used and fill up these chests, which at the moment we just set to one slot. So these things right here, they actually take a real long time to craft. I think they use quite a few materials as well. Remember the steel being gone for a long time. We've even got a chest for steel chests, which is really cool. So whenever we're working on, let's say, expanding the buffer, this stuff here is already there, ready to go, which is really cool. So let's go through all the things one by one. We got the down to the ground pipes over here. We got regular pipes right there. Then we got some speed modules. These are not made off the line of materials. This is when I want to just put them in manually. So they use these two types of circuits, and we can grab those from over here because they've been routed into this system, which is really cool. And we got loads of these things backed up into the chest as well as on the line. Things are going really well. And then we got a chest full of lasers. That's awesome. We got our artifacts. We got some stone. This is something I'd like to automate a little bit more. Over on this side, we got some iron rods. This is about the only time you ever use this in the game. I think iron poles, or sorry, the thirst poles for electricity use those as well. So they go over here to make lamps. And then we've covered everything on this side. Over on this side, we've got a lot of stuff that uses copper and steel. So one of the things I'd like to get to soon is making a lot of solar power. So we've set this up right here. Then we got substations, which we haven't checked out yet. That's the next step up from these things. And you can see we've got the medium electric poles, and we got the big electric poles as well. And that is awesome. And we've also got a couple of chests in the middle for other random items. Now, as well as this fantastic little storage area that we can come to and get ourselves organized, I've been working on automating all of these things right here. Actually, no, not all of them, just the end product ones. We want to upgrade most of our stuff to this level right here, I do believe. And we're going to automate it. And it's not an efficient system, but it's a compact one. So over in this space here, I've just spent the last hour or so figuring out all of this right here. It's fairly compact. You could probably make it a tiny bit smaller, but it should do the job. And if I didn't mention it already, this isn't the kind of production where it's going to continuously produce, the end products. It's going to run out of things. It's pretty obvious that some parts are going to slow down other bits, and really it's just there to passively run while we're working in the world. So when we come back, there's a whole bunch of stuff in these chests. Now these two I put to one slot. This one down here I should probably set to something like that for now. And you can see I haven't powered this thing. I thought what we should do is bring it online together. So I'd like to make a nice and neat grid here. However, that's probably going to be a little bit problematic. As you can see, there are things going on all over the place, and this one might be a bit tricky. Going to need to move that. Look at this. So we've got to put one there, and probably one there as well. There we go. Now let's get the top bit running. And once again, you just want to put it where the inserters are. We're going to have probably too many of these, and it doesn't need to be the most efficient thing ever, getting every single bit with the least amount of poles, but now it is all running. So you can probably tell what's going on just by looking at it. Let's throw down some lights as well because it's turning to night. 3 of these should suffice, I do believe. There we go, that looks alright. Yeah, so we haven't got the initial stage because they've already been crafted, so they come through here. These ones use those materials, and the ones at the top use electronic circuits, so they've got those going around. These ones use the advanced ones. I mean, some of them use cogs, some of them use iron. It's been rerouted and everything is in there. We've also got some lubricant coming from all the way down. You can see from here, and that's going into these machines. So it looks like it's doing alright. I'm not seeing anything getting particularly backed up. And I'm going to guess that the speed of these ones is throttled by the ones before it. So these ones will obviously need upgrades. But if we look there, we've made 29 of those already, 6 of those, and 10 of those. That's way better than I would have expected. These are a little bit slow. As I said, we can upgrade these machines. We can put speed modules into it, things like that, we can make this system a lot more efficient for our demands. And I'm surprised actually as to how well it is working, but that is the first bit that we have done for this episode. We're now going to do some more things, so I'm going to take a break. And look at this, actually, the iron cogs are starting to slow down, so we're using a heck of a lot of those. One thing that we could do is perhaps put a crafting machine maybe somewhere over here that takes some of this iron, creates a few more cogs and puts it back across here, but I'm not going to think about that right now. So I do have some more projects that we want to do. I need to pick one and get to it because we want to make a lot of progress this episode, and I hope you like what we've done so far. I think it's really cool. Just want to mention quickly, this system could be a lot better, so I am going to upgrade it. I'm probably going to add a few more machines and upgrade these ones as well. No need to build, another production facility down the bottom when this one isn't running at full capacity. As you can see, the output is not enough, so we're going to increase it. Iron cogs have now been upgraded, and if we have a look down the bottom here, so have our copper wires. I've added express belts around the outside, and now you can see the ones at the bottom are not being used. So I've got a feeling that even though we kind of balanced those a little bit on the outside here, that actually they were not being fully utilised, and that some of these were not producing as much as they can, because now the copper's coming through. All of it's going onto here, and the ones at the bottom aren't being used, which is interesting. We can see over here, though, that we have plenty of copper ore in these tracks, and these furnaces probably need to be expanded and upgraded, and we can put 2 upgrade modules in there, which is what I'm thinking about doing at the moment, because we need more of this stuff to go through to the copper wires. And the iron ore as well was getting a little backed up. At the moment, a lot of our production has slowed down, so it's starting to refill. But basically, the amount of iron coming into here is not good enough, so we probably need to upgrade that to an express belt as well. And thanks to that buffer, it means that just from where the buffer is, it will then come in at this speed, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's have a look at the power consumption, because a moment ago I started crafting a bunch of stuff using the chest system that we have. Just takes them out of the chests and it starts crafting it. And you can see here that our production or our energy, etc., is not good enough because we've used up all of our accumulator capacity and we've been running off of it without. Now, we're not doing any research or anything like that. This is just all of the idle crafting and running. And it's a bad thing, which means that we're going to move on to something else. And look at this, it's actually the furnaces that are using the most. But we are going to move on to adding some solar power. For the longest time I've wanted to do this, and I was going to wait until we had robotics to make the construction of it nice and easy. But we have solar power panels even. We have the substations as well. So there's the solar panels, there's the substations. And with those and accumulators, we should be able to come up with a design. There's a ratio that you're supposed to follow. And I want to create like a kind of grid, and like Xistu did, use the robotics to kind of take that grid as a blueprint and then rebuild them, which is something we just haven't got to yet. There's a few other things on the list, but we definitely need more power, and I feel like we'll use solar power instead of expanding what we've already got, because that produces pollution, and I just wanted to try something different. But now our accumulators should be okay, because a lot of these furnaces are starting to turn off, but it's still just not good enough yet, is it? And we've got to be careful with this because we don't want our system to fail in any way. But it looks like, yeah, our power's probably going to catch up now that all of this is starting to back up. Thought I'd mention I've also added this thing right here. We've got an engine unit and an electric engine unit on this side, and this isn't being produced at the top speed. This is just another simple crafting system. So while we had some of the materials we need for this in the area, I thought we'd just build it over here. And we've got 50 of those so far. We need that for stuff later on in the game, but I can't remember exactly what it is at the moment. And another reason that we need some more power is because I'd like to get this power armor too by the end of the episode. That might be a little bit ambitious. It needs 5 speed-free and efficiency-free modules, which we haven't researched yet. And when we research, that means a lot of manufacturing happens. There's electricity being used because of the science stations, and so for that reason we really need to focus on getting our power income up at the moment, so we can do that. And then I'm hoping to manually craft this stuff, because at the moment we've got quite a few of these. We have a look in the chest, there's 77 there, there's a fair few more on that side, and we could manually craft those up to the next level. Which needs 4 of those, so we are going to need a heck of a lot, but we have all of the materials, and then we need a few of those to then craft them into the next level as well. And I'm hoping that's not too crazy a recipe, but if we can make 5 of each of those, then with a little bit of steel, alien artifacts and processing units, which we have plenty of, we can make the power armor Mark II, and then that means we can march into those enemy bases. So getting power at the moment is our top priority, so I think I'm actually going to take a few more of these and a few more substations as well, also some accumulators, and let those things produce while I build a system for this. So what is the deal with the solar panels? They produce energy during the day and they don't do at night, which means you need to pair them with the accumulators. So there is a principle here. I've been doing some research and the community has found that the ratio is 23.8 solar panels to 20 accumulators. And then with that ratio, it means these things will charge during the day, they'll fill up the accumulators, and when it's nighttime, these things will run out right as the solar panels kick back in the morning, which is interesting stuff. Now, I have a thought about this, which I don't know the answer to, but let's just think about that ratio for a moment. It's 1 to 2 if you round it up, so 12 solar panels to 10 accumulators. So I've been putting down substations, and in the surrounding space I've been trying out different layouts, but we seem to come to this one right here quite often, which is 16 solar panels to 12 accumulators. Now I think this is good because it means you've got more accumulators than you need, and I don't think that's a bad thing considering that having extra power stored, you know, that's pretty decent, especially when you've got lasers in your system as well. They tend to eat a lot up at once, so I think that's a good thing. I played around with bigger tile sizes, but I kept seeming to be able to find my way back to the same old ratio, which I think is because I tried to fill up every single space rather than leave some free. And I even tried this with a massive grid of 4x4 substations like this, and then I decided to try something a little bit different. So an important thing to point out here is that if we go one block away from this substation, you'll see that it doesn't connect to the other one. So when we got one like this, what I was doing was putting the solar panels around the edge, and these actually line up. If we go down, you can see they go all the way to the corner and you can go across again. But the problem was that you then needed a big electric pole in the middle, and then the space didn't really match up, and I couldn't really get a good ratio either, so I decided to skip on that. And after a while I thought, hey, you're probably going to have to spend a lot of time to figure out how to get that optimal ratio. So we'll actually go with this. It's really simple, easy pattern to follow. Substation in the middle, we can tile them side by side, and we get more accumulators overall. So this is what I'm going to be building. And the other thought that I had was, does this ratio take into consideration that you're going to be using this power? Because it's fair enough, one of these being self-sufficient, it will create energy to fill up the accumulators and then they can be drained overnight. But how much power consumption, you know, is there going on here? Because if you're using as much as the solar panels generate, then they're not going to put anything into the accumulators. So I guess there's probably a wattage to what this produces compared to how much you should use, and that's probably half. So then you could calculate, you know, what's your system using and how many of these you need. But we're just going to go and build loads of them and build more than we need so we don't have to worry about it, which I think is a good idea. And the place we're going to build it, I am not sure about. I was thinking of building it in this area right here. We've got the old accumulator array over there that we could dismantle, but since these things don't produce pollution, I thought it might be a good idea just to build it in the middle over here somewhere, and then if ever you really do need to expand it, there's just pretty much tons and tons of space all around you. So that is probably going to be the plan, to build a massive array of these quite far away from our base. Alright, let's zoom out, check it out. I've been working like a slave placing down all of these, and in the future we will not place any of them ourselves. We will have little robots that fly around and place them down for us. You will learn all about that soon. That is one of the things that I want to get to in the near future. But if we open this thing up and have a look at this right here, this isn't attached to our other power network, so we can see what exactly is going on right here. Now this number and this number I don't think are exact, but you can see the amount of solar panels that we have and the amount of accumulators as well. The capacity right there I think is actually the same as our other network, so we're going to double that. However, this will obviously be used to supplement power in the night time. So how much power do we actually have? I'm not 100% sure, but it says on the wiki that the max output during the daytime is 60 kilowatts. So with the amount of these that we have right here, that's going to be 34.5 megawatts. If we just head over here, and this is a little bit further away than I thought actually. It's only a short walk though. You can see that we are around 20 megawatts, so that's basically over 1.5 times the amount of what we already have, and that's going to be attached to our network, which means we can start relying on this more and relying on the coal less, or maybe even this completely. But the thing is, at night time when it starts draining from the capacitors, I'm not sure if that means it's going to still be 60 kilowatts overall, if you know what I mean, because in the daytime it's also got to fill these up, so maybe it'll be halved. and we won't have the right amount. But we're going to find out soon, and we're going to keep producing these materials so we can rely on them more. So let's add it to the system and see what happens. I don't think it's going to be especially interesting until we start using this, but you know that I want to get that power armor and that we need to do more research to get it, so we can start the research now. Let's have a look at what this looks like. Interesting. It's prioritizing the solar power over the steam engines, and now it's not using the steam engines at all. That was not what I was expecting in the slightest. So these things might turn on at night, which might be a little bit inefficient because they have to power up and get going. I've got no idea if these things are going to be kept boiling. I don't see any inserters working at the moment, which would suggest that it's not. The temperature is 100, so maybe it doesn't have to. I'm going to keep my eye on that, but that's interesting stuff. And we have successfully switched over to this. So let's actually just start some research right now. We want to do speed and we want to do efficiency, I think. I'll double check. I know it's speed. And by the way, I've got everything prepared to craft these right here. Enough of them to make that power armor, which is going to be awesome. I think next episode we're going to take full advantage of that and blast a load of alien bases. There are plenty of them around here. There are some that have cropped up and started to grow. We're probably going to go all around this side though, because we need to expand our base. So, not seeing any inserters do anything. And the temperature is still 100. And now these things are online. Or at least it looks like it. Yep, they're starting to be used. And this is fascinating stuff. So at the moment, it looks like where the power production of this is going down, it's now turning to the steam engines before it's going to go to our accumulators. This is fascinating stuff to me. Sorry if it's not quite as interesting to you, but I find all of this really cool. We can see exactly what's going on. So in a moment, it looks like this thing is probably going to take over completely. Okay, I let the video recording run a little bit more, just in case you wanted to see the graph and see how it was transitioning over. I'm going to keep my eye on this. It's going to be fascinating stuff, but that is a massive upgrade to our system right here. And I would like to move on from relying on this. I might actually take one of these down because we have so much solar power. But we're definitely going to be able to move off of this in the future now, which is definitely a good thing. So we're going to move on to something else now. I'm not sure what I had planned next, but I will find out and be back with you shortly. So, something bad just happened. You might be able to see here, we actually ran out of iron, and we kind of ran out of it right as I put on this other line. So, things kind of got backed up a little bit. You can see we've almost done the productivity module research. The speed one is done, and if we head up here, you'll see that I've expanded the electric furnaces all the way to the back. And as I was doing it, I realised, hang on a minute, the problem is there's not enough iron coming in. So I went and checked on our supply, and it was certainly dwindling down. So one of the things we needed to do was secure some iron, and we've already done that actually. So let's go over here. This is where the iron patch we're using at the moment is. It's a very small one just to keep us going for now. And if we look over here, we've got a big patch here and another big patch there. And there's more patches, but the thing is, we don't have a lot of tracks to transport it anymore. And a lot of you probably know about trains. That is the kind of next step for transporting things. And I kind of avoided it for a while. And I feel like maybe we'll have to move to that sooner than I wanted to. I wanted to do the robotic stuff first, but actually it looks like the trains are going to be quite important. So if we have a look here, you can see I've got very little tracks left. And actually, if we head over there, there's something that I want to show you quickly. So you can see the lack of iron is a problem around here, but where these chests are filled up on the end, what we can then do is add a inserter and chest here, and then it just produces the one below, which is pretty useful, because these are still going to be useful to us for a while. However, as we get more resources in abundance, we will be upgrading all of these tracks to the next level, at which point we'll probably get a load of them back. But for right now, we actually needed those just to make that iron tracks. That turned out to be pretty useful. So if we have a look at our power consumption here, you can see that we are actually using the solar panels pretty well. You can see how they swap over as the day and night cycle goes by, but you can see our consumption here has just dropped completely because we have so little iron going into our system at the moment, and things have really backed up, and because of that we're getting to the end of this research very, very slowly, which is not good, of course. And what I really want to do right now is get the power armor so that we can fight some aliens in the next episode. And then I was hoping to move on to robotics, but it looks like we're going to have to do the trains first of all. So I guess the plan for now is to try and scrape through the last of this research. Then we should have everything we need to craft the next level of power armor. But I've got a feeling I'm going to have to get a bit more iron in the meantime because things are just going incredibly slow. We've just got this guy over here. making these potions at the moment, and they are trickling through at about 1 a minute, which is no good. And yeah, everything's going to come to a halt, but I'll fix it, I'll sort it all out, and I'll do that in between episodes so that in the next one we can go over there and steam through some enemy bases. I'm thinking about going for this area down here now, because there is an iron patch there and there as well. But wherever we go, really, there's going to be iron patches all over the place. Another big one here, so that's another target to get. And of course, we've got a couple secure already, but the trains are going to help us get those. But anyway, that is going to be it for this episode of Factorio. Do hope you have enjoyed it. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.